The Wanderer's Signal. The observation dome of the exploration vessel Pathfinder offered an unobstructed view of the cosmos, a black canvas studded with distant suns. Captain Vera Castellan stood alone in the dim light, her dark hair pulled back in a practical braid, her hazel eyes scanning the stellar charts projected before her. 3 years of deep space exploration had yielded little more than mineral surveys and empty planets. Humanity's secret remains safe, as it had for 500 years. "Captain, we're detecting an anomaly," called out Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the bridge. "Non-standard energy signature, bearing 273 Mark IV. Vera's pulse quickened. Anomalies meant the unexpected, and the unexpected meant risk to humanity's carefully maintained isolation. Classification? Unknown, ma'am, but is definitely artificial. Could be a distress beacon. The ethical calculus was simple, yet agonizing. Humanity had survived by remaining hidden, avoiding the conflicts and politics of the wider galaxy. But turning away from someone in distress violated every principle that made them human in the first place. "Set an intercept course," Vera ordered, descending to the bridge. "Battle stations, but keep weapons powered down. We approach peacefully." 2 hours later, the Pathfinder came upon a damaged vessel unlike anything in their extensive alien database. Its hull was a deep obsidian that seemed to absorb light, accented with flowing lines of bioluminescent blue. The ship was beautiful despite the scorched blast marks across its hull. "Scanning for life signs," Sarah reported. "I'm reading 1, maybe 2 survivors. Their biosignature is, Captain, I've never seen anything like this." "Open a channel. All frequencies." Static crackled before a voice emerged, deep, resonant, speaking in a language their translation algorithms struggled to decode. After a moment, the system found patterns, began building bridges between meaning and sound. "Requesting assistance, hull breach, life support failing. This is Captain Vera Castellan of the Pathfinder. We're here to help. Preparing to dock." The docking procedure was delicate, the alien ship's airlock mechanism foreign to their systems. When they finally established a seal, Vera led a small rescue team across the umbilical corridor, their environment suits ready for anything. The airlock hissed open, and Vera found herself face to face with something that made her breath catch. He stood tall, his form humanoid but distinctly alien. His skin was a lustrous silver that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, and his eyes, completely black, yet somehow warm, fixed with her with an intensity that sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. "You came," he said, his voice carrying surprise and something else, gratitude perhaps, or wonder. "We thought we were alone." Vera extended her hand, a gesture of peace, older than space travel itself. "You're not alone. Not anymore."
Echoes of the Forgotten. The medical bay of the Pathfinder hummed with activity as Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked to stabilize the alien survivor. Vera stood beside the examination table, studying the being who had introduced himself as Commander Kale of the Zafori Imperial Fleet. "Your physiology is remarkable," Elena murmured, reviewing the scans. "Carbon-based like us, but your cellular structure incorporates trace metals that give your skin that reflective quality." Kale's dark eyes followed Vera as she moved around the room. "Your species, you speak the old tongue. The language of the precursors?" "Precursors?" Vera's brow furrowed. "We call it English. It's one of humanity's languages." Kale sat up abruptly, ignoring Elena's protests. "Humanity? That's impossible. Humans are myth. Stories told to children about the wise ones who walked the stars before the Great Silence. Your species vanished 600 cycles ago." The revelation struck Vera like a physical blow. "We didn't vanish. We hid." Over the next hours, they exchanged histories. Kale explained how human artifacts discovered on abandoned space stations had become the foundation of galactic ethics codes. Human mathematics had revolutionized interstellar travel. Human philosophy had shaped the Galactic Union's charter. Humanity had become legend, the enlightened species that had disappeared, leaving behind only questions and inspiration. The Union encompasses 43 species, Kale said, his voice tinged with awe as he studied Vera. All of us, touched somehow by what your people left behind. You were our guiding light in the darkness. We weren't enlightened, Vera said quietly. We were terrified. A quantum cascade destroyed our solar system stability. We had weeks to evacuate Earth, to scatter into deep space. Most colony ships were lost. Only a handful survived. They moved to the observation dome, the stars bearing witness to their conversation. Kale stood close enough that Vera could feel the subtle warmth radiating from his metallic skin. Your attack? She asked. Who did this to your ship? Pirates. Scavengers operating in the border regions. Kale's jaw tightened. I was escorting a diplomatic convoy when we were ambushed. My crew bought time for the others to escape. I'm sorry. Don't be. He turned to her, and the intensity in his eyes made her heart race. You saved my life. You risked exposing your people's greatest secret for a stranger. Vera found herself stepping closer. Maybe some risks are worth taking. Their conversation drifted from politics to personal. Shared loves of exploration, the weight of command, the loneliness of space. As the ship's artificial night cycle dimmed the lights, Kale reached out tentatively. His fingers, warm and surprisingly gentle, brushed against her hand. In my culture, he said softly, touch is sacred. We don't share it lightly. Vera intertwined her fingers with his, feeling the smooth texture of his skin. In mine, it's a promise, a connection. Then I promise, Kale whispered, that your trust in me will not be misplaced. For a moment suspended in time, they stood together, two representatives of distant worlds, bridging the gap between legend and reality. When Vera finally pulled away, she saw something in Kale's expression that mirrored her own confusion and wonder. I need to take you somewhere, she said, making a decision that would change everything. Somewhere humanity has kept hidden for 5 centuries. But Kale, what we're about to show you could reshape the entire galaxy. His silver skin caught the starlight as he smiled. Then let's reshape it together.
The Hidden Colony. The journey through the Serpent's Veil Nebula required precise navigation. Vera piloted the Pathfinder personally, following coordinates known only to humanity's scattered survivors. Kale stood beside her command chair, his presence both comforting and electrifying. Sensor interference is incredible, Lieutenant Kim reported. We're effectively invisible out here. That's the point, Vera replied. The nebula's radiation masks our energy signatures. We've been hiding here since the evacuation. The clouds parted and Haven Station emerged, a massive structure built into a cluster of asteroids, glowing with the light of thousands of habitats. Ships of various human designs moved between docking bays. Entire generations had been born here, never seeing Earth except in archives. Kale's expression was one of absolute wonder. How many? 200,000 across 3 stations, Vera said quietly. All that remains of 8 billion. The docking procedures were tense. Security forces surrounded them as they disembarked, weapons trained on Kale until Vera vouched for him. She led them through crowded corridors where children played and markets bustled, humanity persisting against impossible odds. Dr. Marcus Chen waited in the Central Archive, a repository of human knowledge and history. The elderly scientist's face was lined with years of burden, but his eyes sparkled with curiosity as he studied Kale. Zephori, Marcus breathed. I've read accounts of your species in the recovered databases. Your people's poetry is considered the finest in known space. You know of us? Kale seemed overwhelmed. We've been monitoring galactic developments for centuries, Marcus explained, pulling up holographic displays. After the evacuation, our founders made a difficult choice to wait, to watch, to grow strong in isolation before revealing ourselves. We feared becoming refugees, dependent on alien charity or worse, targets for exploitation. Vera watched Kale process this information. We became what your people believed us to be, myths, ghosts. Marcus led them deeper into the archive, to a chamber that contained Earth's last transmissions. Images of the dying planet, blue and green fading to gray as the quantum cascade tore through the solar system. Vera had seen them before, but they never failed to move her. She found Kale outside afterward, on an observation platform overlooking the nebulous swirling colors. He stood alone, his reflective skin painted in purples and blues. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said softly. "Everything about this is beautiful," Kale replied. "And terrible. Your people suffered so much. We survived, that's what matters." She turned to him, and the space between them seemed to shrink. "Vera, there's something you need to know. The diplomatic convoy I was protecting, they were carrying intelligence about a new threat, something emerging from the void between galaxies." Her stomach tightened. "How serious?" "Serious enough that the Union is mobilizing its entire fleet. And if what I suspect is true, humanity's isolation is about to end whether you're ready or not." The nebula's light cast them in shadow and luminescence as Vera leaned against him, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing. "Then we'll face it together," she said. Kale's arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her close, and when their lips met, it felt like the collision of two worlds, different, unexpected, but somehow perfectly aligned.
Shadows approaching. The emergency council meeting in Haven Station's command center was chaotic. Representatives from humanity's surviving ships argued over whether to maintain isolation or respond to the threat Kale had described. Vera stood at the center of the storm, defending her decision to trust him. "He could be a spy," shouted Commander Torres of the Valiant, "leading them straight to us." "He was dying when we found him," Vera countered, "and his intelligence about the Void Swarm has been verified by our own long-range sensors." Marcus projected the data. Massive energy signatures moving through deep space, consuming everything in their path. The patterns suggest extra-dimensional origin. They're not from our universe, and they don't follow our physics. Kale stepped forward, his silver skin stark against the room's harsh lighting. The Union has faced many threats, but nothing like this. These beings don't conquer, they erase. Worlds, species, history. Everything they touch simply ceases to exist. And you want us to reveal ourselves now? Risk everything we've built? "I want you to survive," Kale said simply. "The Union needs humanity's ingenuity, your resilience. In our databases, humans solved problems other species couldn't imagine. That creativity might be what saves us all." The vote was narrow, but it passed. Humanity would make contact with the Galactic Union, offering their technology and forces in exchange for alliance. But first, they needed to know exactly what they faced. Vera and Kale led a reconnaissance mission in a stealth-equipped human vessel, accompanied by Lieutenant Kim and General Thane, a scarred Zephyri warrior who made no secret of his distrust. "If this is a trap," Thane growled, his amber eyes fixed on Vera, "I will ensure your people pay for it. If this is a trap, we'll all be dead before you get the chance." They emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the affected zone. What they found defied comprehension. Entire star systems reduced to geometric voids in space, perfect spheres of nothingness where matter simply didn't exist. "Recording everything," Kim whispered, her voice shaking. This is genocide on a cosmic scale." A pulse of energy suddenly washed over their ship. Alert screamed as something massive began materializing. A vessel, if it could be called that, of impossible angles and surfaces that seemed to exist in more dimensions than 3. "Evasive maneuvers," Vera shouted, but their ship was caught in a gravitational well. Kale worked frantically at the weapons console. "Their physics are wrong. Our weapons can't lock onto them." The Void Swarm ship fired, a beam of unlight that tore through space itself. Vera threw the ship into a hard spin, but the edge of the beam caught their hull. Systems failed. Power died. In the darkness, emergency lighting flickered on. Thane was injured, Kim unconscious. Vera and Kale worked side by side, rerouting power, repairing critical systems with whatever materials they could salvage. "We're not going to make it," Kale said quietly, his hands covered in coolant from a burst line. "Yes, we are." Vera grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. "We survive, both of us, together." His lips found hers in the darkness, desperate, fierce, filled with everything they hadn't said. When they broke apart, something in his eyes had changed. "I love you."
I don't care if it's impossible or impractical or... I love you too, Vera interrupted. Now help me save our lives so we can figure out what that means. With a final surge of power, they broke free from the gravitational well and jumped to faster than light, barely escaping. But they had what they needed, proof of the threat and reconnaissance data that might give them a fighting chance.
Alliance of Hearts and Stars. The combined fleet gathered at the edge of known space, 43 species of the Galactic Union alongside humanity's hidden Armada. Vera stood on the bridge of Haven Station's flagship, the Phoenix Rising, with Kale beside her as joint commanders of the operation. The reunion between humans and the wider galaxy had been tense, but ultimately hopeful. Humanity's advanced stealth technology and adaptive weapons systems complemented the Union's raw numbers and established infrastructure. In 3 weeks, 2 civilizations had forged bonds that should have taken decades. The Void Swarm will reach Zafori space in 6 hours, reported the tactical officer. After that, the core worlds. Vera studied the holographic battle map. Then we hit them now, in deep space, where we can maneuver. The plan was audacious. Humanity's stealth ships would penetrate the Void Swarm's formations, deploying quantum disruptors that would force the extra-dimensional beings fully into their reality. Once visible and vulnerable, the Union's heavy warships would strike. All ships reporting ready, Kale announced. His silver skin seemed to glow with determination. Vera activated the fleet-wide channel. This is Captain Castellan. 500 years ago, humanity fled into darkness, believing we were alone. Today, we return to the light, not as myths or legends, but as allies, as friends. What we face today threatens all life in this galaxy, but together we are stronger than any void, any darkness. Today, we fight not just for survival, but for the future we'll build together. The fleet surged forward. Human ships, nearly invisible, slipped through the Void Swarm's lines like ghosts. Vera piloted the Phoenix Rising herself, Kale coordinating with Union forces as they executed the most complex military operation in galactic history. Disruptors deploying, Kim reported. 3, 2, 1. Space itself seemed to shudder. The Void Swarm vessels, forced into full-dimensional alignment, suddenly became vulnerable. Union warships opened fire, their weapons finally finding purchase. But the swarm adapted quickly. A massive flagship emerged, targeting Haven Station itself through a dimensional rift. "They're bypassing the fleet," Thane roared. "They're going straight for the civilians." Vera made a split-second decision. Kim, full power to engines. Kale, route everything else to shields. "Vera, we can't withstand that firepower alone," Kale protested. "We don't have to." She opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, protect Haven, whatever it takes." The Phoenix Rising positioned itself between the Void Swarm flagship and the station. Behind them, ships from dozens of species did the same, forming a living wall between the threat and the innocent. Kale's hand found Vera's as the enemy weapon charged. "If this is the end..." "It's not," Vera smiled. "Trust me." The beam fired, and the Phoenix Rising's shields blazed with energy. They held for 1 second, 2, 3, and then the entire fleet's shields harmonized, creating a unified barrier that reflected the weapon back at its source. The Void Swarm flagship collapsed in on itself, taking the dimensional rift with it. Across the battlefield, the remaining swarm vessels retreated, vanishing into whatever darkness had spawned them. Silence fell across the communications channels, followed by an eruption of cheers from 43 species speaking in countless languages. 3 months later, Vera stood in the Galactic Union's Grand Assembly Hall as humanity was officially inducted as the 44th species member. But the ceremony she truly cared about was smaller, more personal. On Haven Station, in a garden cultivated with plants from Earth and Zephora, Vera and Kale exchanged vows in a ceremony that blended human and Zephori traditions. Marcus officiated, his eyes misty with joy.
You represent more than just two people. You represent the promise that different worlds can find common ground, that love transcends species, culture, and history. Kale took Vera's hands, his silver skin warm against hers. In my language, there's a word, Shalnara. It means the light that guides you home. Vera, you are my Shalnara. You brought me back from death, showed me wonders I never imagined, and gave me a future worth fighting for. Vera's voice was thick with emotion. Humans have a saying, home is where the heart is. For 500 years we wandered, searching for a place to belong. Kale, you showed me that home isn't a planet or a station, it's finding someone whose soul resonates with yours across the vast emptiness of space. As they kissed, the assembled crowd, human and alien alike, erupted in celebration. Above them, through the garden's transparent dome, the combined fleet maintained its patrol, guardian of a galaxy learning to unite. That night, alone in their quarters, overlooking the nebula, Vera and Kale laid together, fingers intertwined. "What do you think happens next?" Kale asked softly. "Everything," Vera replied. "We explore, we build, we create a future where no species has to hide in fear." She turned to face him. "We prove that the legends were wrong. Humanity wasn't special because we disappeared. We're special because we came back." Kale pulled her close, and in that embrace was the promise of tomorrow, of two hearts beating as one, of two civilizations learning to dance among the stars, of a galaxy united against the darkness by the simple, profound power of connection. The ghost species had returned, and the universe would never be the same. The end.